Okay, hello, welcome to this video on empirical formula. So I'm going to go through the process of how to calculate empirical formula, and I'll show you the method that I use. And then at the end I'll throw up a slide which kind of gives a generalized way of how to do it for any example that you get. Hopefully you'll be able to use the two to work through the examples that I put in the link below. So the first thing, bit of exam technique. First thing to do is go through and highlight the key bits of the question. So I've got 1.48 grams of a compound. That might be important. And it contains 0.8 grams of calcium, it contains 0.64 grams of oxygen, and 0.04 of hydrogen. And then I've got to find empirical formula. So stage number one for empirical formula calculations, and I recommend you always lay it out this way, is to produce a column for each element that is in the question. So I've got calcium, I've got oxygen, and I've got hydrogen. That's the very first thing I do. Next thing is put in the numbers that they've given you from the question. So I've got 0.8 grams of calcium, I've got 0.64 grams of oxygen, and I've got 0.04 grams of hydrogen. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go and look up the masses for these elements on the periodic table. Now remember, if you've seen the relative formula mass video I did, the mass number is the bigger of the two numbers that appear on the symbols on the periodic table. So calcium is 40, so I'm going to divide that by 40 for calcium. Oxygen is 16, so I'm going to divide that by 16. Hydrogen is 1, so I'm going to divide that by 1. Now my brain can't do this kind of maths in my head, so I've got a calculator off screen. I'm going to go 0.8 divided by 40 equals 0.02. Then I'm going to do the same with the oxygen, 0.64 divided by 16, 0.04. Anything divided by 1 is itself, so it's going to be 0.04 again. Okay, so once you've reached this stage, the next thing to do is identify which is your smallest number. So in this case, 0.02 is the smallest one. So I'm now going to go through and divide all of these by 0.02. I'm going to have to do a little bit of a shimmy here to get it all in shot, so one moment. Should have planned ahead. Okay, so from this stage here, anything divided by itself is 1. So there's going to be 1, that's going to come out as 2, and that's going to come out as 2. So we've now done all the hard bit, and the last bit is to actually turn it into an empirical formula. So our empirical formula, there's 1 calcium, there's 2 oxygens, and there's 2 hydrogens. That is the empirical formula. And at the end here, I'll throw up a kind of bullet point method of how to go about doing that.